Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video on the Lamb Apologetics. Today, I want to go back to my moral incoherency argument against Islam from my first video. I let it marinate for a month and used it in some debates like the recent one I did for my first formal debate on the Imago Logos channel. Go ahead and check that out. From internal and external critiques, I decided that my initial argument might be too complex and robust for Muslims to really handle in conversations in a way that's conducive to breaking down the issues of Islam. I'm not saying my first argument was bad. I actually think it's the most explanatory of the moral issues in Islam and covers a wide field of issues dealing with metaphysics, metaphilosophy, epistemology, and so forth. The issue is, unless I'm having a 2 to 3 hour debate with a Muslim to really explain all the issues presented with that argument, it's more fitted to be an argumentative essay or video as they are. So I still recommend you watch the video if you want a full analysis of the moral issues in Islam, but I formulated a simpler argument that focuses on a specific issue in Islam that still shows Islam is morally incoherent, and I will tackle it from both Sunni and Shia perspectives. The argument goes as followed. P1. Allah claims Muhammad is the moral exemplar and morally perfect. P2. If Muhammad is the moral exemplar and morally perfect, then he should obey all of Allah's moral commands. P3. Muhammad does not obey all of Allah's moral commands. C1. Muhammad is not the moral exemplar nor morally perfect. C2. Allah is incorrect, making Islam morally incoherent. Premise 1 is very simple and will be difficult for a Muslim to deny as it would run counter to the Islamic framework. Allah clearly expresses that Muhammad is of great moral character, the judge of disputes, judge of character, and so forth. We see this in these lists of surahs, showing Muhammad has such a moral character as to be the universal example of what righteous men ought to act like. Also substantiated by hadiths like Muwatta Malik 1643 stating Muhammad was sent to perfect moral character through his own, as established in the Quran. Premise 2 shows an if and then statement given premise 1 is true. We should expect to see Muhammad, who is morally perfect and the exemplar, obey all of Allah's moral commands, as Muhammad is one of the most righteous amongst men. We see this in these tafsir, substantiating the concept of Muhammad's moral perfection. Ibn Kathir even quotes Aisha and Sa'id bin Hashim's conversation where Aisha explains that Muhammad's moral character was the Quran. So basically that like Allah. In Shia sources, we can see scholars pick up on this concept and explain in readings like the infallibility of the prophets in the Quran that the prophets are infallible and sinless. They even explain further that Allah's call to obey the prophets is as if to obey him, making this a sort of singularity of authority of moral character amongst them. Does Muhammad fulfill this though? As premise 3 states, it's not the case that he did. We see in Surah 2:177 it states that those who are righteous are those who will free slaves. When it makes the claim of those being righteous or having piety, it means to have obedience to Allah and to follow his commands. We see this expressed in these tafsir, highlighting that the concept of bir in this text is the essence of obedience, adhering to Allah's commands. So it's not the case that you have to do any extra virtuous actions to fulfill this text, because it seems to indicate it's the general obedience of Allah's commands, meaning everyone should follow this command and it doesn't take extraordinary character to do so. However, we see Muhammad, who is of extraordinary moral character according to Allah, have slaves, buy them, prevent people from freeing them, and trading slaves. We see this occurring in Sahih al-Bukhari hadiths, Sahih Muslim hadiths, Sunan Abi Dawud 2054, Shia specific hadiths, and for Quran onlyists, he has slaves in Surah 424 and 3350. So if Muhammad, who is directly stated by Allah, who is supposedly all-knowing and wise according to these surahs, is not in fact acting accordingly to the commands by Allah, then he cannot be morally perfect nor the moral exemplar. Being infallible, sinless, like the Quran, the example of obedience and remembrance to Allah on his last day, these are all qualifications that have a specific expectation which Muhammad did not fulfill. So if he is not the moral exemplar nor morally perfect, then Allah is incorrect in his assertion of labeling Muhammad as such. This is a blatant contradiction for Allah, showing that his nature couldn't possibly be all-knowing, and would indicate that moral commands in Islam have no foundation, making them incoherent. So there you have it. Islam is morally incoherent, and this calls into question the validity of Islam in general, considering Allah's contradictions. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and Muslims. I'd love to hear the responses to this argument, though I don't believe there are any good ones for it. Be on the lookout for upcoming videos and debates, and as always, God bless.